Microsoft buys Nokia, but can it build a smartphone empire? Galaxy Gear is like no other smartwatch, but like all smartwatches before it, it's not very smart either. Hey, the Samsung Galaxy 3, the Note 3, it's unveiled. It's looking pretty sweet to this guy. All of this and much, much more on this week's edition of Tech and Coffee's Tech News Week. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, Dennis,
Yes?
start it off, man. Tell everybody where you're from and what you're about.
Well, my name is Dennis DeVoe. I am from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I love technology, especially on mobile devices, so cell phones, tablets, things like that. And I just want to say, in honor of the latest Android release, I got myself a Kit Kat bar.
All right. Yeah, hey, no joke. I bought a bag of them and took them to work. Yeah, man. Hey, George, what about it, brother?
Well, I'm George. I'm from New York, but I'm living in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm, I don't know, technocrat.
Very good.
Linux guru. I don't know.
Talk to me, Guy Cook.
Hi, my name's Guy Cook. I'm based near Seattle, Washington. I've been a web developer since in the 90s, like before there was pictures, and happy to be here.
Thank
I'm
you,
Jeff
Guy.
Zayas from Napa, California. I just moved here, and I'm sort of a techno guy. I used to be. I like to dabble a little bit now and then.
I'm Keith Milner. I'm from the UK, south of England, where it is just gone midnight, and I'm a telecoms consultant.
And I'm Robert Taylor. I'm a senior systems analyst in New Orleans, Louisiana. I service small and mid-sized businesses in the area. Hey, Dennis, break
Yes.
me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, give me
I
a
haven't even
break.
opened it yet.
Hey, listen, man, before we get into this week's news, I want to give Dennis just a tiny bit of a hard time. We were talking on another Tech and Coffee podcast there about the price drop on the Nexus 4. Dennis couldn't stand it. He took a plunge. Where's it at, Dennis?
It is now in Calgary at the UPS depot. And unfortunately, it's not the easiest to get to by public transit, so I'm just going to have to wait and wait and wait until tomorrow.
Okay, going to get it tomorrow. Okay, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, I expect to see a lot of photospheres in my stream, man.
Uh-oh.
Hey, guys, let's talk about the larger tech news articles of the last week. Everybody weigh in. First of all, Microsoft bought Nokia's phone division. They got some patents with the deal. And, CNN Money's take on it was, Microsoft is a AAA company. They're one of a handful of companies who have deep pockets. But Nokia is considered junk. And I just want to kind of throw it out to you guys. What kind of marriage is this? Is this going to garner a larger percentage of smartphone sales for Microsoft going forward? And Keith, I'm going to throw it to you first, man.
Well, I think it's interesting because Nokia have obviously they've been probably the world's dominant maker of mobile phones in the past. Not so much in America, but everywhere else in the world. They were number one for about 14 or 15 years, and they have been responsible for a lot of the innovations and a lot of the patents, as to be said, in the mobile phone space. To be honest, I thought they were doomed as soon as Stephen Elop joined. The guy. I think it was a Trojan horse. I think he was put in there basically to convert Nokia into a Microsoft company, and ultimately, I think part of that strategy has been their downfall, because they as part of that strategy they cancelled projects like Migo and similar sort of Symbian-based projects, which could have allowed them to carry on their business and still be a leading innovator in the mobile space. Those projects got cancelled in favour of Windows, and now they've turned into a Windows shop. And to be honest, excuse my language, but they became Microsoft's bitch, and now Microsoft have got little choice except to take them over, because they're going out of business really if they don't do anything else. Microsoft get a lot of valuable patents out of it. I think it'll be interesting to see how Microsoft manage the company, because Nokia actually make and sell a lot of low-end phones to Asian and African countries, and they've got quite a thriving business in that. I would be surprised if longer term Microsoft actually consider that a viable ongoing business, because it doesn't sell Windows licenses. But I think ultimately it's about the fact that really Microsoft needs a hardware vendor who's supporting them. Everybody else is deserting them, and Nokia, they're on their way out. And if they hadn't have come in and bought them, I think they'd have gone down the pan.
Yeah, I wonder. I think that maybe BlackBerry was hoping on a purchase from Microsoft, and I'd say that's out the window now. Guy Cook, you've got some Microsoft background, and logistically, you're not too far from the home office. You got any opinions on this deal?
A well thought out strategy, and I think we're seeing the tip of the iceberg. I think that my best guess is this: everyone has a lion in the jungle for high-end, super technical, what Dennis just bought, smartphones. But my mom doesn't have a simple phone. Nokia has already got that platform in place. They've already put out the little jingle of, we now have a dumb phone. If you don't need all the bells and whistles and air conditioning in that car, you just want one you can get in it and drive and go down that information highway and call people once in a while, they've got a product. They've also got a market for it, in that they can get the price down. The people that don't want to spend $300, $400, $500, $600 on a new smartphone, that can make do with the $125 gee whiz wonder, it calls everybody you want to call because it's got Skype with it. We can't forget that Microsoft owns Skype. Hey, they might have, it's such a nebulous thing, but it's something I've thought about, and I'm glad you asked. I think this is going to be a new area of mobile technology, and Nokia's got the infrastructure and the patents to give them the infrastructure for it. I'm looking for big things from this.
Yeah, and you guys have heard me say before, when you look at Microsoft as a company, where they, take the Xbox, I think the reason why it's been as successful as it is like Apple's iPhone, Microsoft controls both the hardware and the software experience. And I see this as a real opportunity for Microsoft. I mean, I really think that if Microsoft is going to put a dent in Android and iPhone sales, this is their best opportunity ever by purchasing Nokia. I really believe that.
Try right now to go out and buy what I refer to as a dumb phone that uses Android or iOS. It's not there.
Yeah,
but Mike, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay. I was going to say Microsoft whole deal is not to go into the dumb phone environment. Their big deal is they want to be in the smartphone environment, and Nokia doesn't have that marketplace. They are a very small player within that piece.
Maybe right? In the States, I agree with you. In the States, Nokia is small.
I'm not
in Asia.
I'm not done yet. I got one more thought, and then you can say I'm wrong. Oh, I can say I'm wrong too. What the heck? But I think it's more of a brain drain. They probably want the people behind it more, and the patents, more than anything else. And Microsoft, $7.2 billion. That's pocket change to those guys. They have lots of money. So, I think it's the opposite. I think they're going for. I think they're entirely in it for the long haul, and this is their way of getting more people and more brains. It was not the smartest acquisition if they wanted to get a big splash into the marketplace. That was not the best place for that for me, I think. And now
I kind of agree with that because you're absolutely right. There is they don't have any penetration. Nokia do not have in any region in the world any penetration into the smartphone market. What they have is a huge penetration in the dumb phone market, but that's not Windows. Now the question is Microsoft going to carry on running that business? Are they interested in feature phone type, Symbian-based feature phones, which are nothing to do with Microsoft? And are they going to continue that business running, or are they going to eventually close it down or hive it off or sell it out?
I don't think they'll go into feature phones because I think too many of us still remember the Ken. I do have a question though for the panel. I've actually looked for this throughout all these announcements. Will we see a Nokia branded Surface tablet, and will we even see the Nokia brand? I mean, this is a brand that is recognized worldwide. It's in Asia, it's in the Middle East, it's all over Europe. Everybody knows that Nokia brand. And will Microsoft kill that brand off, or will we see Nokia somewhere own that along with the Microsoft's logo?
I hate to say it, but I think they will. It would be so stupid of them to do it. But Microsoft is that type of company where it would be like, yeah, it doesn't need that brand anymore. But no, yeah, like you're right. Nokia is well known. It's been around forever. I mean, as far as mobile phones go, people just know the name. But yeah, they'll be probably stupid enough to whack it. So.
Well, I believe it was Engadget had mentioned it in their write-up. I may be wrong on that, but I do remember seeing that at least for now, the Nokia brand is going to continue. And I think it would be in Microsoft's best interests to keep the Nokia brand. Otherwise, if they just transfer it to the Microsoft brand, the Windows Phone still has that Windows Mobile fear like people have. People tend to associate Windows Phone with the old Windows Mobile in some ways, and I don't think they're quite ready to drop that yet. So by keeping the Nokia name, it's going to allow them to have that brand recognition is how I see it.
Well, some companies buy a company for the brand name, not even for the products, but for the brand name. It would be so smart for Microsoft to turn itself into Nokia, and then it would just...
that would be a little interesting. We have Nokia
at
Windows
the same time,
9.
though, in all these write-ups that we saw, okay, part of that $7 billion they spent, $2 billion plus of that was only for patents. Now, does anybody know what those patents are? I don't.
No, I don't.
But there must have been 23 jewel stem winding wonders of technology to have that price tag and go ka-ching. Yep, give us that.
Nokia already have a lot of patents, but they've already licensed most of those out to people. So I don't think it's going to give them a huge leverage over, for example, Android, because most of the patents they've either fought and won and got a license fee for, or the patents have been overturned. So I think those battles have been had. What it might do is it might mean that the license revenue that Nokia, for example, have been putting in from Android manufacturers now gets pushed into Microsoft, and Microsoft get a bigger wedge of it.
No,
but the thing I think, going back to the branding, I think that my view of the world is that Microsoft have been desperate for the last 15 years to get a foothold in mobile, and they've failed at every turn. I think they will use the Nokia brand and try and make that be successful. If it isn't successful, I think they will then revert to making it Windows, but I think they'll do their damnedest to make it work with the Nokia brand.
And why not?
I think Nokia in the past has built some very nice hardware. I know early on in the smartphone days, they had some very interesting hinge designs where they basically took a long candy bar phone that hinged up on the side and turned into a little internet device. You know, it had the little Symbian browser. It was a very, very nice design for its time.
Communicator
And,
9000.
Yeah, I believe it was. I believe you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'd be interested to see is what the impact of this acquisition will have on the other Windows partners. How will Samsung and HTC and all those guys who've been supporting Microsoft and putting Windows Phone onto their products?
Well, I thought about that too, Keith, and I don't think it's that big of a deal because Samsung nor HTC have really invested heavily in their Windows Phone versions. I do expect them to leave because they haven't sold well, but they didn't necessarily try to sell them well either. And I think it was more of a I'm sticking my toes in the water type thing. And with this announcement right now, I'd say they're going to put their shoes back on, you know? Guys, let's move on to the next article, but good discussion around that. I enjoyed that very much. Listen, I've really got to give you guys some credit. And Dennis pointed this out here. I want to see if I can't find that article here real quick, Dennis. But you know, we've been pretty hard on the Samsung Gear Watch. We haven't thought much of it. Any kind of the leaks, we've basically all of us have been down on it. And they announced it yesterday, and I'll be a son of a gun. You know, if you look at the announcement, we were probably too kind. I think we kind of thought that this watch would be compatible across Android. It's releasing. It will only work with the new Note 3 and the revamped Note 10.2 2014 edition. I will have to say I'm pretty impressed that it is going to launch with 70 available apps, and a lot of those apps are from some pretty big heavy hitters. But it's got a terrible battery life on it. It's a 1.8 by 1.8 inch display, 320 by 320, I believe. And before I get down into what our predictions were, I would like to just get comments from you guys. Now that the watch has been revealed, what's your thoughts on it? And Jeff, I'm going to start with you this time.
Well, you know, again, I'm not going to buy the watch, the smartwatch. I don't have a need for it. And I was surprised too that it didn't, you know, work with all Galaxy, you know, devices. You think it would do it? It still looks, you know, it doesn't look. I must admit, it doesn't look as clunky as the first kind of leaked picture. It looks a little bit sleeker than the original one. But you know, it's not for me. I just don't see myself using it. I don't see it. But you know, the other thing is that sometimes. Samsung doesn't do the best device coming out, you know. They do the best device copying somebody else's device, you know, and then making it better. So they're not really strong on innovation. So it'd be very interesting to see the next major brand like Apple or somebody else, what their smartwatch looks like at a higher level, because it's going to be interesting marketplace. I personally am not going to get it. I'm not into that wearable tech watch thing. I'm still into the Google Glass thing.
Robert, I'm going to give you a chance, man.
It's fugly. That's all I got to say. It's fugly. And, you know, you say we were too kind. I don't know how much more to the point and blunt I can be. It's ugly. It has limited usefulness. Obviously, now we find out limited connectivity until they update sometime in October. I understand the S3 and S4 will have connectivity to it. But the end result is, and this was a discussion we had earlier in the Tech and Coffee Hangout, what the heck do I need a camera on my watch for? You know, a watch serves one purpose, to tell me what time it is. It doesn't need to do anything else. I don't need to have an LED spotlight on it. It's ridiculous to even consider. It's nuts.
That's the
Can I
Nokia
jump
dumb
in?
phone.
Can I
Nokia dumb
jump in?
phone.
Can I jump into that comment, Robert?
Sure.
That exact, if we had that exact thinking when it came to the cell phone, a phone is meant to only talk. We wouldn't have had the smartphone revolution. So I honestly don't know.
No, you're taking my comments out of context. What I'm saying is that there's a usefulness for devices, and I'm all about innovation. But you know what? You can only turn a lamp into so many things before it doesn't provide light anymore. A watch, its purpose in life is to tell time. Yes, we can kind of make it do some other things, like be a calculator. How many people do you ever see an accountant grab his watch and do calculations on his watch? Of course.
Well, Robert, don't you think they're just calling it a watch so the people in California know how to wear it?
I'm pretty sure. You know,
Okay.
if we didn't call it a watch, Jeff would try and put it around his neck.
That's right.
Yeah,
and as
yeah,
far
yeah,
as
but-
Jeff's not going to buy it, he's not. I've looked this up. I've done some research. He's not going to buy it because there's no return policy.
No, but you know, just get back to the little. There's other things people use their watch for, right? I mean, they use it for, like, if you're running, for laps and for things like that, chronometers, they're for stopwatch, other events. So
Okay.
yeah, it's more than just telling time, right?
Listen,
I
still on that though, Jeff. Here's what I listen, and I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, and you know, there might be some handy features for having your pedometer on your wrist, but this watch adds absolutely no functionality that my 2-year-old Samsung Galaxy Note can already give me with an app.
I don't wear a watch. I'm a watchless guy. You know, it's just, you know, because it's just something else I have to put, you know, and if I want to know the time, like Robert says, I pull out my phone. I look at, you know, boom. Or I look in my car, it tells me the time. There's lots of places that I get time from. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Listen,
And I know it's daytime versus nighttime. I'm that smart.
Here's the good news. This Samsung Galaxy Gear Watch is probably going to be on the market at least 7 or 8 more weeks. So I think we're going to have several opportunities to bash it further on down the line. Before I totally leave it, though, Dennis, I would really like to give you the opportunity of telling. I had asked for people to give me predictions at what was the Samsung Galaxy Gear going to debut at? What was the price? And Dennis, you went back, and I don't know if you wrote it down or you went back and watched the video, but you captured it, and if you've got it up there, I'm going to give you the opportunity to give what our predictions were and who won.
All right. Well, the predictions, we had a few of them. Now, bear in mind, this was based on the leaked render, but I'm not going to count that because that's all we knew when we made this prediction. So the one with, like, the flexible display. So Bruce Turner, he had guessed that it would be, actually, I don't have the thing right in front of me, but I think he had guessed 99.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Bruce said $99.
Yeah, he said 99. I said 199, and it would fail because it was going to be too expensive. Jeff Zayas said that it would be 249.
What did
And-
George Dosher say? Do you remember?
George said $599, and the funny thing with that is if the leaked render had been the final design, based on what the actual price is, that would have been true. And you, Duke, I think you had said $219.
That is correct.
The final answer is $299. Now, let me just also clarify one quick thing here. This is not Samsung's first smartwatch.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you guys knew this. I stumbled upon this article earlier today, but from Anand Tech, he mentioned that a few years ago, Samsung had a little watch that it's the one on the left here that could actually make phone calls, and it was actually not connected to a phone or anything. So kind of interesting that, and you can kind of see the design elements kind of somewhat similar. So it's kind of amusing.
Okay. Before I move off of this, are we going to see Apple introduce a watch September the 10th? Are we going to see the fabled iWatch?
Well, speaking of that, Keith wants to make a point. The Galaxy Gear was not the only watch to be brought out. Keith?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the Galaxy Gear got all the headlines, but at the same show, Sony released their smartwatch 2, which to me looks like a much better proposition than the Galaxy Watch. For a start, it's cheaper. It's around about $120. It already has around about 300 apps available for it, so it's got more apps available. It's water resistant down to I can't remember how far, but it's water resistant, so you can actually swim with it.
I think it's.
And it works with any Android phone.
There you go, man.
Why would I buy the Galaxy Wear when you can buy something less than half the price, which is, probably a better spec?
Yep. One more quick thing about the Galaxy Gear, though, if I can, is one of the reasons of the limited compatibility is that it actually uses Bluetooth 4 low energy, so Bluetooth 4 LE, and that is only the drivers for that have only been introduced in Android 4.3. So, admittedly, they could have made it available for Nexus phones, but other than that, there's not a lot they could have done. I think the product is actually a year or two too early for Android.
Yep. So then Duke's question was, are we going to see something from Apple in the form of a watch on September 10th? And I'm going to guess we're going to see something, but I don't think it's going to fare any better because of the device limitations that we see right now, that we've outlined right now. I don't care what Apple comes up with, even though there are going to be people who say, it's Apple, it's great, it's wonderful, I got to have it.
I agree. I actually wonder whether they had something planned, and now I think Samsung and some of the others have actually stolen the party a little bit. And I think the reception of the smartwatches that Samsung and others have produced isn't that great. It's been very well publicised, but I don't think the reputation or the reception has been that great. And I think Apple might even go, well, maybe we won't release a smartwatch unless they have something absolutely stunning.
I have another prediction. It'll be they'll announce another Apple TV box.
I also have a prediction that they won't call it iWatch because it sounds like a stalker's tool. So they'll probably call it something like iTime or something. But iWatch is just too.
The iNow.
How about QuickTime? I don't know.
There's been no leaks for it either, so that's kind of why I'm a bit doubtful.
Yeah.
We had a joke the other day going on about the next Apple gizmo and that having a catchy name people would remember. They're going to call it the Apple Core, and you throw it at your friend and it sticks to them, then you can GPS locate them.
If they do release a watch and it's anything like the Samsung one, then it should be called the iSaw.
Okay, man. Hey, we're moving on. Also, at IFA, where Samsung announced the Galaxy Gear, they unveiled the Galaxy Note 3. The thing is, it still looks like a Note. It's got a 5.7-inch display. I think as far as Samsung devices go, it's one of the more attractive Samsung devices. It's got this fake leather and stitching look on the back, and it's got some features specific to the Note that takes advantage of the S Pen or stylus. And we haven't heard what this thing's going to debut at. If history is any indicator, you can expect this thing to arrive at a $299 price point, and within about 3-4 months see it drop to a $199 price point. I've just got to say, I think this is one thing that Samsung has done right in quite a while. Okay, the S4 was the whole presentation was a joke, and let's face it, a lot of people are totally turned off of the Samsung bloat on the S4. I don't think, at least what I've seen, the videos that I've watched of it, I don't think they overdid the bloat. They did add some very specific software for utilizing the S Pen, but I can't fault them for that. Hey guys, what do you think, man? Is this going to be as big as the Note 2?
This is the first smartphone I've sold somebody on. One of the members of our community was coming up on a renewal for her phone lease several months ago, and I said, you're going to get the Note 3. Period, end of story. There's nothing going to be out in September that will come close to it. And at that time, I was reading it was going to only have 2.5 gigs of RAM. So this article write-up that says 3 gigs is even sweeter.
Yeah.
It's a very, very powerful phone.
It looks like a very sweet device. It's high end, high powerful. It's going to have this big, gorgeous display. It's lighter than it used to be, and it's added 0.2 inches to the display size.
Yeah, I can't see any wrong thing about it.
And this is also the first smartphone that will connect through USB 3.0, so you're going to get faster speeds and faster charging through a computer.
Right.
You know,
faster.
even though I see that as a plus, I believe that's going to upset a lot of people, because that the USB 3.0 is going to require a specific USB cable. And, you know, if you're like me, I probably got 40 USB 2.0 cables right now. You know what I mean?
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that, like the micro USB cable.
Yeah.
Well, why would it be different?
Yeah.
It's actually if
I've got one
you looked at
here,
the
actually.
3.0
Just find it.
configuration, it's like it's got 2 inputs. It's
See
not
if,
just one flat input like the current micro USB. It's actually got 2. Dennis is trying his best to show us there. Let me get you up here, Dennis.
It's a
And
little
that's a
blurry
3.0.
because my camera's not focusing on it, but
Yeah, you can kind of see how it's basically 2 inputs on a 3.0 device.
It looks like HDMI and next to another.
Yeah, I've got a
Yeah.
3.0 book drive, but I've never paid any attention to the cable.
Yeah,
And it's
the book
running
drive will
backups
have a
right now. I
different
can't
one.
mess with it.
because this is actually from a portable hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
So portable USB hard drive, USB 3
Correct.
hard drive. And I saw, from what I gathered, it was the same connector here. So that's a good point. Now, if they end up including an adapter in the box that will go from the USB 3 to a micro USB, that would be a great way to do it.
you know, if they don't do that, it's going to be like with how Apple did when they changed their connection. You know, their connector to a 9-pin connector, but they charged you $20 for the adapter. Give me a break, man.
True.
There you go. Keith's got it up. Yeah, you can see right there on the 3.0 how it adds a. It's almost like another sector.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually how it's going to do the faster charging. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those are for power pins.
Yeah, but that doesn't look. Well, it's be interesting to see what a micro.
Yeah, my cable must be the top one that he's got there. That looks. I've never looked at the end of it unplugged to see if there was 2 little chambers there. I'll have to do that as soon as the show's over, of course.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right,
Keith.
guys. Hey, this is probably. I know we've talked a little bit about Nokia already, but they've. You know, they make their deal with Microsoft and are already tweeting insults to Samsung, and basically what they tweeted was have a break, and then they hashed KitKat and Nokia, and basically the picture was the Samsung. It looks like the S4 broken in half. So yeah, way to go there.
There you go. I found the one on the phone itself. It is the same. It looks very similar to the connector I have.
Yes, there you go, man. So yeah, we've got Nokia's not wasting any time showing no class at all there. What do you think of
It's
that?
kind of oddball when your butt just got pulled away from the fire by Microsoft. Now you're going to thumb your nose at other manufacturers. That's pretty ballsy, to be honest.
They're
Seems-
actually following suit of what Microsoft would do too. So they might as well just, they're saying, "Hey, we're in with you."
But that's the way their advertising has been lately too, like going after the Apple users, the Samsung users, and all that. So it's, to me, it doesn't seem surprising, but I don't know. I mean, it's not. It's like, I know their phones are a bit better, but I actually wonder if this was kind of playing a bit on the infamous meme that's going around about like drop your iPhone on the floor, break the screen. Drop your Nokia, like an old Nokia brick phone, and you'll break the concrete. So I don't know if that's kind of another way they were kind of playing off that. I don't know.
I personally think that they've adopted Microsoft's, I think, dreadful advertising, where
Screwball.
they basically, Microsoft, because they haven't got anything good to say about their own products, they spend their time trying to rubbish everyone else's.
Well, Apple's been known at their keynotes to take uncouth stabs at their competitors, and I mean, look at what Apple's doing with Siri right now. You ask Siri some Google Glass questions, and they give you these snide remarks. You'd think that, as superior as Google now is to the Siri experience, that Apple would actually try to improve it rather than trying to make it wittier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's move on. Let's talk about a little social news. Back in June, guys, Facebook wanted to jump on the hashtag game. And everybody knows, if you've been around Twitter or Google Plus at all, you know how hashtags work. If you want to follow something, you search on the hashtag of that topic, and it allows you to follow a lot of social streams and conversations. So Facebook decided they were going to implement the hashtag feature in our public posts on Facebook. And so EdgeRank Checker is a analytics service that basically did some research to see how Facebook was doing with its hashtags since it had implemented it in June. Here's the results. No extra exposure, no viral reach, and even worse, these hashtags might be creating a negative impact because searches without the hash seem to be doing a better job than searches with the hash. Now, I'm sure this is totally the way that Facebook has implemented this, into the whole Facebook service. But yeah, hashtags are a huge fail. And in fact, the reason that this article caught my attention is I have a friend who is very social on Facebook. In fact, I would call him an oversharer on Facebook. He probably posts 20 to 30 posts per day on Facebook. One of his posts was basically a rant at Facebook on what a waste the hashtag implementation was, because he can't find anything when he tries to search on it. Comments?
I've never used the hashtags on Facebook at all.
I wish you'd quit talking about me. I try to keep it under 30 posts a day, dude. So. Because we know I don't post at all on Facebook. So.
I have two things that you want to share, Duke. First is the price of their stock has gone up. The second one is only starting at June, and now it's only the 1st of September. That's too soon to tell. They can fine-tune and fix this and make it work. Throwing something into that big, huge cyberspace area called social media and wanting to see it happen in 3 months, I don't think that'll happen. Our minimum SEO contract that we've ever provided to anybody is 6 months. If they want to see something happen faster than 6 months, go ask somebody else, because it's not really a doable thing.
Yeah, but you're talking about two totally different things as SEO and search engine optimization of a web page, as opposed to implementing something that is already well developed, well thought out, and been implemented by other social media platforms in the blink of an eye. 3 months for the king of social media not to be able to get hashtags right is, terrible. It's horrible.
But is it so much the idea that none of the users are using hashtags? Therefore, the search is not helping?
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. I think the search just doesn't seem to work properly on it, from what I hear.
Well, that's something that's correctable. And I agree with Guy. I mean, I think that, say what you want about Facebook. Their stock plummeted down to 17, and now it's back up to almost to 43. It opened, I think, at the initial IPO as 38 or 39 or something like that. So they're
Right.
back, and they're making a big push, and they're just going to get better and better. I'm not a fascist Facebook basher, but I don't use them, and I don't use the hashtags. And I don't use hashtags. I don't search on hashtags on Google Plus either. I don't know if you guys do, but I really don't.
I don't think that the success or otherwise of introducing hashtags has actually got any relevance to their stock price at all. I think it's totally irrelevant. But I think it's interesting that the mechanism that everybody else uses on social networks doesn't work on Facebook for whatever reason.
That's a good point. First of all, in Facebook's defense, Twitter did nothing to make hashtags work for Twitter. The users started using the hashtag to make the hashtag work in Twitter. Google Plus is a lot differently, but I can tell you that the hash search has worked excellent for me and has for a long time now. Okay. But yeah, I just find it interesting, and listen, I'm not saying that it's a fail. I'm just saying it's a fail so far. I agree with you guys. Facebook has time to fix this. I'm sure it's complicated. There's algorithms. They'll figure it out. But so far, it's been a bust for Facebook.
I don't think ultimately it makes any difference one way or another to their stock price, whether they do or not.
Yeah. I would agree that hashes probably don't play.
I disagree, because that changes eyeballs on the site, page renders,
Well, actually,
new ads.
I disagree because Facebook's trying to make their money on advertising.
Yeah,
and advertising in mobile, and they're showing now that they can do it in mobile, and that's why their stock price is up. It's nothing to do with the hashtag working or not. It's can they make advertising in mobile?
No, but what I'm saying is when you're searching on hashtag and you get new renders, you're going to get new ads, and that's going to generate new revenue.
Yeah,
so more eyeballs,
and if it wasn't the
more
hashtag,
turns, more everything. So
and one of the things that brought the stock up too was that they're continuing to innovate. Now, whether the hashtag worked perfectly the first time out the door wasn't as relevant to the fanboys, if you will, as it was that, hey, they're still out there swinging the bat. They're still standing at the plate. They're trying to make the home run happen. I should invest in these guys. Because I read for weeks and weeks and weeks, oh, Facebook, you're bad because you don't have hashtags. Well, they did it. They implemented hashtags. Granted, it doesn't work according to EdgeRank. But does it work in terms of making the stock higher? Maybe it does.
I still disagree with it, but let's move on. Hey guys, Google Chrome, 5 years old, turned 5 this week, and in that small amount of time, Google has basically the Chrome is the #1 browser now. When Chrome came along, hey, IE was the king of the road. And it was because it shipped with PCs, and we had Europe suing Microsoft over it, so forth, etc. You had Firefox come along, which was a great alternative, and still is. Firefox is a great browser, but Chrome has they've arrived. People prefer Chrome. Bruce Turner, if he was here, he might disagree with me because I know he's been having a lot of problems out of his browser. But for their 5th birthday, they've announced a rollout of what they're calling Chrome apps. What are Chrome apps? Think of them as a lot like an Android or an iOS app. But kind of what sets these things apart is that most of them that are available work without an internet connection, and that makes them more like a traditional software app. I think this is pretty cool. I think this is only going to help Google going forward with its Chrome OS platform. But I just want to know, have you guys gone out and played with any of these? George, I guess this has knocked you out, but if you've got a Windows machine or a Chrome OS machine, you can download these standalone apps, and it's my understanding that support will be coming to Mac and Linux users soon. What do you guys think, man?
Good move from them.
It is, and actually I've used the apps. There's a couple of different ones. I'm actually sharing on my screen one called CSS Grady. It's an app that allows you to develop CSS code for gradients in a website, which is a pain in the butt to do, for me anyway, because I'm no CSS expert. But it will actually allow you to create the CSS. It's a great little app. And looking in the Chrome App Store, there are dozens of little programs or applets like this that just make your life wonderful. From full-blown, things like Google Docs and so forth, down to little simple things that just make your life a breeze when it comes to certain aspects like CSS for me. Works
Does
well.
this publish the style sheet back to your server?
It does not, but it gives you the CSS code so that you can implement that in your CSS.
And then upload it with FTP or however you're publishing. Okay.
That's correct. So, again, what it comes down to is picking, for me, picking 2 colors and creating a gradient from that to write the CSS for the different browsers with their limitations. It's a pain in the butt, but I went to the Chrome App Store, found an app that did exactly what I wanted, slapped it into my Chrome, and now I have it at the drop of the hat anytime that I need it.
But don't you think these are more? I'm just speculating, but really more for the Chromebook environment, targeted really for these guys than the Chrome browser itself. Because you can have a lot of the apps are redundant. You have Google Keep on both. You have some redundancy on the app side and I was thinking maybe they're targeting making the Chromebook more an offline device.
I'm sure they are. The thing is, if you can get people using these apps on Chrome on the desktop, then they'll start to consider the Chromebook as a option.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, it's probably because probably not going to use it on my Windows machine as much. Although there are, like you said, there might be some cool apps, but applets. But I would think it's more targeted for the Chrome OS environment.
Well, I would agree with it. It is targeted to Chrome OS. I do believe that. But listen, all the articles are saying you can do this from a Windows machine also. So I mean, and they promise support for Mac down the line. So I'm thinking that listen, they're doing this, but yeah, probably the largest advantage of this is in the Chrome environment, the Chrome OS environment. Absolutely, Jeff. Okay. Hey, man, before we call this a done deal, Jeff, have you got something you would like to tell our viewers?
Yes, I would. And I also I want to thank our viewers who helped myself and helped Duke get to YouTube Live based on getting that 100 subscribers, subscribing to me and to Duke. And we have another favor to ask. There's another individual on our panel here that needs our help to kind of get to the next level, and that is Dennis here. So let's put Dennis. Why don't you talk a little bit, and then your video will be up on the screen.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, yes, here is my link, youtube.com/user/devhux, DEVHUX for our Stitcher listeners. And basically, I love to sing, and that's pretty much what my channel's been about. So definitely check it out, and I would love more subscribers. And if I can, before you end, Duke, I just need to give a clarification on
USB 3.0, talk to me.
yes, with the USB 3.0 connector, I just found out the micro USB cables that we all currently use and love will indeed fit. And the article that I was looking at before said it is compatible as well. So, brilliant job to whoever ended up coming up with this connector to allow it to work with the current cables as well.
Absolutely. All right. Hey, guys, if you're watching this live, you're watching it on my YouTube channel just because we had some technical difficulties, but we'll be straightened out next week. Be back at Tech and Coffee 1. Hey, man, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Tech and Coffee 1. Our favorite social network is Google+, man. Search on Tech and Coffee. Look for that lovely logo. Also, you can catch our audio podcast, Android Journal, and This One Tech News Week on Stitcher Radio and iTunes. Questions, comments, and snide remarks, throw them to TNW at techandcoffee.info. Hey, guys, have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you in about 7. Peace out, everyone. You've been listening to Tech News Week, a weekly series where we talk tech, brought to you by Tech and Coffee, a Google Plus Hangout. We want to invite you to check out our Hangout. You can do so by going to techandcoffee.info and clicking on Join the Hangout, where you can find a link to our existing Hangout. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Tech and Coffee 1. We appreciate you joining us, and y'all come back now, you hear?